Hey guys, it's Rahim. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, smash the subscribe button because I talk about property investment, personal development, and how to gain financial freedom. It's all out. The manifestos of the parties are all out. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you how the new government plan would impact the property market, the housing market, so you can know how this influences you, maybe to choose a party, who you would vote for, obviously based on what their strategies are in terms of the housing market, or perhaps something to do with moral, ethical, and all that sort of thing. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you what are the manifestos of both Conservative and Labour parties, because to be honest, one of them are going to be leading us in about a month or so time. This saves you lots of time to go out there, start looking what the manifestos are. They've got hundreds and hundreds of pages, so I'm going to save you that time by sharing what are the key takeaway in the housing market for both parties. Obviously, it's up to you to vote for the party that really works for you, but to be honest, I'm gonna share this with you and see what your take is on with each party. Perhaps if you used to be Conservative, you may want to be voting Labour this time round, and perhaps if you're voting Labour, maybe you want to do Conservative. So obviously it's entirely depend on where you see yourself in the next 5-6 years. Okay, and again, I wouldn't like you to vote for Conservative or the Labour or Lib Dem because your mother, your father, or your parent have always voted for that party. We are in a new world, new generation, so vote to them based on your morals, based on your ethics, and based on what they're doing for you that would impact you positively. So let's get going. So let's start with the Conservative Party, okay? So the Conservative Party, the first thing that they're talking about is about housing and construction. So the Conservative Party commits to build 300 homes every single year. And here's the thing, they've been in parties for nearly 14 or over 14 years. They've been promising building homes, but quite frankly, they haven't even hit that target. Since they've been in power, they've never hit that target. There's always something that causes it not to happen. But now, yet again, they've promised us to build 300 homes a year. That will take us, if they stay in power for 5 years, that will take us 1.5 million homes. But hey, you judge people from their previous track records, well, it's for you to judge that. So far, they haven't hit the 300,000 homes a year that they've promised to build. So let's see what they do in the next 5 years, if they won the election. And the second thing they want to do is basically to focus on building homes in brownfield sites. You may be thinking, what is brownfield sites? Brownfield sites are land where something had been built before. It could be a warehouse, it could be a factory, it could be a depot, whatever that may be. Something had happened to that land before. They've built houses in those lands before. So obviously the government then is trying to say, well, the Conservative government, they're saying when they come to power, they will expedite that process to allow people to start building houses in brownfield land. But however, they're protecting the green belt. What is the green belt? The green belt is this nice forest that you see when you fly around. You'll be wondering, why are we struggling to build houses when there's this vast area of land that's never been touched? So what they're trying to say that basically they will still continue to protect that, and then you wonder why we're having all this housing crisis. So if they're protecting all the land, believe me, when you board a flight here, all you see in the UK is greenery everywhere. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's good to have greenery, but if you're complaining about houses, then obviously you need to release some of those lands to allow us property investors to start investing in those lands and start building homes. Because if the government is targeting to build 300,000 homes a year, and they've got private investors like ourselves also doing our own little bit out there, it would only allow more properties in the market and eventually hit their target. So they're looking to protect that, and protecting that will mean less houses, less homes, and then guess what happens? It increases the price of houses as well. And again, if you're an investor, you don't really want to be supporting or voting for a party that would stop you from building more houses. So that's what they're saying about the housing construction side of things. So let's look at the second thing that they're talking about, planning reform. This is a big one. In average, it take us property investors 12 to 18 weeks in order for a planning application to be looked into, or if you're lucky enough to be approved. So it takes ridiculously long time, and it literally is, to be honest, it's quite frankly waste of time. Okay, you literally sat there for 6, 7, almost 12 weeks before you get a reply from them saying they've acknowledged your application, and then before they start looking into the application itself. So what they've said here, they will continue to emphasize on reforming planning laws to expedite the construction of new homes. Let's see what they can do about it. And again, they've been in power for 14 years. So why have we not done that already? Why are you actually telling us that now? We'd expect you to have done that because this is part of your previous manifesto or part of your commitment. Why has it not been done? Is it maybe perhaps we need to employ more people in the planning department to get the job done? Because it's taking ridiculous long hours. I've got a planning permission right now going. It has taken me over 15 weeks, right, for me to even hear anything else. So it's literally wasting so many people's time. So I hope they could expedite that process to get us building again. Now, this is good. This is another one that I think may help lots of people out there. So what they're planning basically is to extend the stamp duty for first-time buyers. Currently, if anyone in England that is buying a property under £300,000 do not have to pay stamp duty. But I'm talking about people that are buying houses to live in, okay? First-time buyers. I'm not talking about first-time property investors here or first-time landlords buying houses. No, I'm talking about when you're buying a house to live in. So currently, any house under £300,000, you do not need to pay any stamp duty. So this is what the Conservatives are proposing on their manifesto. They said they're going to increase that to £425,000. So any house you've bought as a first-time buyer for less than £425,000, you pay 0 stamp duty on that. Again, it sounds reasonable, right? It sounds okay. It sounds good, okay? Because it only gets people to start buying. But the only thing I'm worried about that is not to have the same effect we have during COVID when they waived up the council tax, then people wanting to buy more houses. What happened? House prices went up more than the amount you would have saved to pay stamp duty. So I hope that doesn't cause that sort of ripple effect. But it's a good idea to allow first-time buyers to buy homes without paying stamp duty. Next, they have a policy to encourage long-term fixed-rate mortgage for first-time buyer to reduce the deposit. So what do they mean by that? They've got a scheme that would allow first-time buyer with an equity loan of 20% toward the cost of buying houses. This will allow them to get first-time buyer to only put down 5% deposit according to their manifesto. So what they're saying to right, you can use an equity up to 20%, you buy a house, you only put 5% down. So the government will find a way to raise the 20%, and then obviously you do the 5%. If you follow with me, you know how skeptical I am with this help to buy thing. For me, help to buy scheme I think is a shamble. It's just to help developers to be able to sell their properties a lot more quicker. In essence, getting a buyer before they even build the homes, because what would happen basically, the government claims to help you do that, but to be honest, they are kind of helping the developers there, not you yourself. And also the catch on this, they can help you to buy a home, right? You can put down 20. This is already happening, by the way, okay? I don't know how they're going to improve that, to be honest with you, but it is already happening. So what they do basically, they ask you to put 5% down, and then they will then find a way to raise the other 20%. Then you buy a home, you live in that home. So the benefit of this, if it's lower than £425,000, then obviously that is also means you don't have to pay stamp duty. And then obviously, if you're doing the help to buy scheme also, you only put 5% of that £525,000, whatever amount you bought below the £425,000 house. So it sounds good, but the catch is, basically, is they're helping the development companies obviously to be able to sell their properties quicker. So suppose you wanted to remortgage in about 2 years or 5 years time. So what they would do, the 20% they borrowed you to buy it. When you're about to repay that money, you don't pay the 5% of the actual amount they borrowed you at the initial purchase. No, you got to pay 20% of the amount they've borrowed you initially, but based on the new value of the property. Is that making sense? Probably not. I'm going to repeat. Basically, if they lend you the 20% to buy a house today, suppose it's £100,000, right? They lend you 20% to buy the house. So in essence, they are putting down £20,000. Okay, £20,000 is what they're putting down, and then you put the £5,000. That then gives you 25% to go and buy the house. Okay, so that's what they'll borrow you. So suppose then you're going to remortgage that property. Let's say in about 3 years' time, and that property worth now £200,000. When you're worth £200,000, you're not going to pay them back only the £20,000. What you would pay them is the 20% of the new value of the house. In essence, the £200,000 that property is valued at, you need to pay them 20% of that £200,000, which unfortunately will be £40,000. So in essence, they're making money there as well, right? So that's the reason why I don't like it. And plus, obviously, it's more helping the builders themselves rather than you, the first time buyer. The next thing they said about helping voters is this. They said they're going to extension of the right to buy scheme for council tenants. So what they're saying here, basically, if you are a council tenant, they will kind of encourage people to start buying their council houses. Okay, so I think that's also a fantastic idea. We want everybody to be in the property ladder, because if you are, then at least then you've got somewhere that you call home. It makes you feel secure, and then obviously it's a good thing to have. So if they're doing that, that is a very, very good thing. And also, this is a funny one. Okay, you're gonna get blown away by this. They said, and if a landlord, right, decide to sell their property to their tenant, they would waive the capital gain tax. The capital gain tax is the tax you pay for selling a house in the UK. Okay, suppose you've got a tenant, there's a catch. That tenant needs to live in that property for at least 2 years in order for you to qualify to get a capital gain tax relief. Okay, so that in essence, if you sell it to the tenant, you make profit, you don't pay capital gain tax in that profit. But here's the thing, I am a landlord. I have few properties around the UK, and I've got tens of tenants living in my houses. And I've offered maybe a couple of three of my tenants to buy my houses, but none of them have taken the offer. So perhaps really, I don't see the benefit there, because and plus most landlords don't want to sell their houses anyways. And so I don't see the logic behind that. You know, it may be good on paper, right? It may be good on ears, so all people hearing that, oh, I can buy my house from my landlord and all that sort of thing. But does it really happen in real life? That's another key question to ask as well. It doesn't necessarily happen all the time, and in most cases, tenants may not want to buy that house anyways. And for an investor point of view, if that is the case, you can go and secure yourself a purchase lease option deal, right? You tell the landlord, this will be part of your script. Look, I can buy your property in today's price in some time in the future, right? And then obviously saving you the capital gain tax to pay now, and then in 2 years time, if I buy the property off you, you don't even pay capital gain tax. You get that waived off. So that could be a good way to pitch your purchase lease option deal. So bear that in mind as well, okay? So that could be a very good thing for you, the investor. So now this is important. They said they're gonna cap the ground rent for leasehold properties to £250 a year. Well, again, I don't know how they can stipulate that. They want to introduce the peppercorn where you pay minimum on ground rent. They've been talking about this the last whole year. Literally last year they've been talking about that. They bring that bill forward. They went and voted for it. We've never heard anything about it. All we heard on the news that it's been abolished. It wasn't a headline news either. When they were about to introduce it, it was a headline news. Everyone heard about it. But when they scrap it, we did not hear about that. So I want to see really and truly if they will actually implement that in the next parliament. And this is another one as well. As an investor, to be honest, I do not like this one. Okay, this is crazy. They said here, the Renters Reform Bill appears in the Conservative Manifesto, where it is pledged that the court reform will be delivered ahead of abolishing Section 21 no-fault eviction. So what they're saying here, basically, they want to abolish that. So you as a landlord, you cannot just walk into a property, say you want it for no reason, basically. Right? You put all your money and you invested in the property, and they want to put some laws for you not to evict someone. So I don't think that would work really nice. Here's why. It's because most politicians are landlords themselves. Okay, they're not gonna shoot themselves on the leg. So I don't think that will go to the attempt to do that this year, but it wasn't successful. So I want to see how they go on with that, because most of them are property investors, and the banks that are literally lobbying the parties or supporting the parties are landowners themselves. Then obviously they want to know if they've bought a property as an investment property, they're able to evict their tenants whenever they want. But to be honest, looking at the ethical side of things, I think it's a good idea. Everybody needs a house that they call home, where they can go and settle knowing that they're not going to get kicked out tomorrow. But they need to make it fair and just to the landlord and to the tenant itself. This is what I hate. The next point. I do not like this. Literally, it's just absolute crazy. I do not know why they're saying this in the first place. Ready for this? They said, for holiday let, this is where lots of investors are making money, right? The Tories says they will ensure council have powers they need to manage what they describe as uncontrolled growth. That is crazy. They're saying they're going to give councils more powers, more than the powers they already have, okay? Which is absolutely crazy. They've already got powers already. You're giving them more powers to what they got uncontrolled growth on the rental market. They want to give them control on the holiday let rental market. That's just crazy, okay? It's just crazy. If they try to venture on that, they would have lots of issues with that, because obviously most people are doing well there. And again, most of these politicians are doing exactly the same thing. This reform is to do with probably, London, you're not allowed to obviously rent a holiday let for over 90 days without having permission for it. So basically they want to introduce that perhaps everywhere in the UK, which I think, to be honest with you, is we might be unfair to other people, but hey, if you bring a reform, you just get rid of the time wasters or the landlords or the investors that do not do what they're supposed to do properly in their properties. So that's it. So let's move on. Let's move into environment. Okay, they've got an environment focus, right? The environment focus here is to pledge to make new homes net zero by 2050, with investment in sustainable housing development. Again, it's a good thing to have on paper, but how do you do that, right? You've already got a target to build 300,000 homes. You could not do that. So how can you enforce building efficient, affordable houses? Because it's new, it's going to cost a bit of money to anybody who's doing it. I really hope they do that, to be honest, because this is very good, especially when the bills are going crazy, right? If we can build affordable, efficient houses, it's really, really good for the market. So that sort of point, I like it, because it's all about efficiency and making our environment safe. So this is what the Conservative propose for you. Here's the thing. Are you convinced? Do you think they are supporting entrepreneurs, or perhaps are they supporting property investors? Or are they supporting landlords? To be honest, looking at this, they're not supporting us, right? I think they are, I don't know, to be honest with you, I think they are not my cup of tea at the moment, okay? So I'm not gonna tell you who you needs to vote for, by the way. It's your choice to vote for whoever you want. But with this manifesto I've just read, as a property investor, I've got an if. I need to kind of investigate a little bit more to see what Labour is gonna offer me. And that's exactly what we're gonna talk about now. So let's look at Labour. Labour's literally headline news is, we are pro-business and we are party for wealth creation. And they want to make that their number one priority. That alone would blow your mind away as an investor and entrepreneur, right? They are pro-business. These are the sort of people we want to be ruling the country. People are saying, yes, we want businesses to attract people, wealthy people to come to the country. That's what we want. They said they are in for wealth creation. So if you are looking to create wealth, perhaps you want to be thinking about what Labour is going to say next about properties. So they said that's going to be their number one priority. So that is crazy. I love that in the outset. Let's see what they talk about houses. The first thing about housing construction, they pledge to build 1.5 million homes over the next 5 years, focusing on affordable housing and social housing. Beautiful thing on paper, okay? 1.5 million homes, that is crazy. We love that. Bring it on. We want to build more homes for the people. Affordable homes and social housing. Again, if you look at what Conservatives said, it's almost the same, because they said 200,000 homes a year. If you times that by 5, that is 1.5 million homes. So in that essence, there are 100 there, okay? But the only downside about Conservative here, they've promised us building homes the last 14 years. They have not done it. So are they really going to keep up with this again? But hey, Labour told us 1.5 million homes in the next five years, which is okay. Let's see what they can do. The second thing about housing, they said they will introduce new town with green space and reliable transport link. I love this. So what they say, the Conservatives said they're going to tighten the green belt. In essence, the Labour Party is going the opposite. They said, look, we're going to allow you to start building houses in a green space lands and start building towns, right? And obviously creating reliable transport link. I love that idea. Of course I love it. As a property investor, I love it because obviously it's giving you opportunity to buy land. Literally, I've been looking to buy land, God knows how long. I'm even thinking of investing in Africa now because I can get a land to build houses. So wherever you go, it's green belt. Everywhere I wanted to buy land somewhere in Cardiff. Amazing land. It's about an acre or so. Did my due diligence only to realize it was a green belt area. In essence, if I would have bought that land without doing my due diligence, I would not have been able to build any houses there. So if the Labour Party is coming saying they're going to ease that a little bit, I would love them for that, okay? I would love them to allow us to buy the green belt, obviously not everywhere, like where you need to do it, isn't it? So that then allows us to build more homes to hit their 1.5 million target. That is a good idea. I love that idea, and I think it's a brilliant idea. Next, on the housing and construction, they said they're going to fast track approval for high density housing on urban brownfield site through planning passport. I love this. So what they're saying is basically they are going to fast track the approval. Remember I told you it takes about 16 to 18 weeks to even get considered for planning permission. If they're going to expedite that, that would be brilliant. That would only help them achieve the 1.5 million target, which is very, very, very good. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think the only one of the ways they can do this is employing more people in the planning department, right? There are some councils only have 10, 15 people in the whole planning department. Literally, there are less people looking at these application forms. Obviously, they're tired, they're shattered, working ridiculous long hours. They haven't got time to look at these planning applications. And then guess what? They end up making the wrong decisions and you have to go through appeal process only to win the case again. It's a waste of time. So if they can expedite that process, get that planning passport done, it would be absolutely amazing for us property investors, and we're going to go build more houses. Next, this is where they say they're going to increase stamp duty. What? Increase stamp duty? But there's a catch. They will increase stamp duty for overseas home owners. Not you and me, but overseas investors. Okay, overseas investors are going to increase it by 1%. You may be thinking that's not a lot, but believe me or not, overseas investors buy expensive houses. Okay, they don't buy your 200,000 houses or 400,000 pounds houses. They're talking about $500,000 or over £1 million houses. So 1% is a lot, and they aim to raise about 40 million on that. I like that idea because obviously, let's be honest. One of the reasons why houses are so expensive in London, the overseas investors are taking over. They're buying these houses left, right, and center. And us here, we can't even afford to buy the houses anymore. We need to move away, go to a smaller town out of London or places like that to be able to live. So I think the 1% increase is a fair game because they are looking to help their citizens instead of kind of getting international investors to come around and flood the market and increase the prices altogether. So I think it's a good idea. So the 1% increase is not for you, but for overseas investors. So it's good they've cleared that because that would have caused a massive uphill battle there. That's it for the housing construction side of things. Let's talk about planning. I've already mentioned it a little bit, but let's just dive into it a little bit more. They said they're going to have a major overhaul of planning system to boost house building and enhance local input on housing project, and obviously an extra spending. I've talked about that already. Basically, they're going to expedite that process. Hopefully, they'll employ more people in the planning development department to make sure more houses are built, and then obviously we grow that way. Let's look at home ownership. They said, look, we can support first-time buyers with a government-backed mortgage guarantee scheme. Again, they're replicating what the Conservatives are saying here, basically, by saying, look, we're going to help you, support you to buy houses. Again, we love that. We love that so much. And the environment, also, they kind of talk about the environment. They said they're going to commit to building energy efficient homes and existing ones also to reduce carbon monoxide footprint. I love that as well. If they can help people build efficient houses, if they can help existing houses to be efficient, it's really good as well, because obviously the bills are crazy, right? People are paying ridiculous amount in bills. So if they can get the houses efficient, getting some sort of scheme going, it will really help. Now, the next one is going to blow your mind away. I love this one. They said they're not going to increase national insurance. That is a very good thing, right? They said that they're going to cap the corporation tax. Again, that's a beautiful idea, because currently corporation tax is 25%. It's a very high corporation tax. If we can stay there for now, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Okay, I love that. And they said also they're going to cap the VAT, meaning they're not going to increase VAT. Again, this is good for businesses. This is good for corporations. This is good for entrepreneurs. This is good for landlords or property investors, however you call yourself. It's very good for business. It's very good. They are doing that for everybody, okay, which is very good. So in essence, literally, this is what they've announced. So now, looking at this party, Conservative and Labour, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Comment on this video to let me know what your points are. Is it good? Which party may sway your decision? Are you going to vote for someone because your mommy voted for them previously, your daddy voted for them, your parents voted for them? I wouldn't do that if I were you. I would look at their manifesto. Obviously, I advise you to go and read their manifesto. These are just the key takeaway. Maybe you want to look at their ethical side of things, their moral side of things. Maybe you read in depth about what they say in the housing market. Then you make your decision that way. Do not vote for any political party because your mommy or your daddy vote for them. Vote for them because they are good for the country, good for the economy, good for entrepreneurs and business people. End of the day, we want to be efficient and good property investors. These points highlight the main commitment and proposal for both parties regarding the housing, planning and real estate development. So now, you may be asking, what party am I going to vote for? Looking at the manifesto right now, I'm convinced about Labour, right? I don't usually say which party I vote for, right? But currently, they're convincing. But quite frankly, looking at the media right now, it's like your Stem has won the election already. Literally, all the media is assuming he's going to win the election, okay? Perhaps it's because he's got strategies like this. Perhaps he's got stuff like this written and ready to implement. And to be honest with you, people are getting a bit fed up of the Conservative. You know, they've got all these scandal going around, COVID issues and all that sort of thing. People kind of a bit fed up with them. I think people, we may want to have a little bit of change, okay, by saying, you know what, I'm going to go for Labour this time around and see. But us, generation, listen, we should not stick to one party. We only vote for a party that is good for the country. It doesn't mean if I vote for Labour this year, next election, I'm going to be voting for them again. No, I won't do that. I'll vote for any party that I think align to my ethics, to my moral, and to my businesses that I run. Because at the end of the day, we want growth, we want ethics, and we want moral. So, which party are you going to vote for? Leave that till the 4th of July and make your decision. But go and research, understand which each and every party is doing. You don't have to vote for Labour or Conservative actually. You can vote for the Green Party, Lib Dem, whatever party you want to vote for. But look at these two parties. They are the peer parties that are likely to win the election. And they are the two parties that are likely to become one of our leaders. Currently, I'm leaning towards Labour. I really hope this video has been helpful. If this video has been helpful, smash the like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. I look forward to sharing the next one. Thank you.